Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network, for the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews. Press 1.
Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Congratulations. On behalf of the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, and the Schmoes know, you are now a member of the Jedi Alliance. May the Force be with you, always.
I am your father.
No! That's impossible! Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Jedi Alliance. We're up to number 24. My name is Maud Garrett, aka Mordawan, aka Queen Amidala. Joining on the panel, we have Master Kenobi, Ken Napzok.
Right. I think I've given a child candy with that thing. I found that in my house laying around.
I will not abuse this, and frankly...
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Nice.
Yes! I'm the power!
You've been practicing that. That found a good home.
I'm so excited
That's been
about
sitting in my home for about 10 years.
Presents.
Now, yeah. Anyways, hey, let's get right to it. We got our returning guest, Frankie Kazarian. You know him from Ring of Honor, also TNA, WWE. He's done it all. He's one of the more successful wrestlers out there. But he's also one of the best Star Wars fans out there. And Frankie, you were here episode 14. 10 episodes later, You're back, buddy.
I am back. I'm Frankie Kazarian, also known as Old News around here. I'm just, just scenery at this point. No, I'm psyched to be back, and yeah, I'd like to say that I am the by far the biggest Star Wars nerd who has made a living being a professional wrestler, by far. I wear that badge proud.
I was going to ask you, is there anyone else out there in the locker rooms that's sits down with you?
Yeah, there are guys, guys usually like my age, from my generation, that are pretty big fans. I mean, there's a lot of comic book fans, and a lot of fellow guy named Joey Ryan, who's from
I know
Star Wars.
Joey,
yeah, he's a big Star Wars fan, so we always,
that's good.
So big thing happened in the Star Wars world since the last time we spoke. The Force Awakens trailer came out. What were your initial thoughts on that?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I dug it. I thought it was just enough without giving away really anything. I loved that they focused on the new generation, the new characters. I immediately felt right in the world as soon as
John Boyega
he pops up. Just seeing the new ships and then ending it with the Falcon. I thought it was great. I thought it was just enough.
What was your favorite geek out moment in the trailer?
Probably the lightsaber.
Yeah?
Being as that we're going to talk a little bit about that. I didn't know how far they could take it after seeing, the double-bladed saber, which I think is the best one ever from Darth Maul. When I saw that, I went, wow, that's cool. That's cool.
Did you join in the national debate on the little side saber action?
Immediately, everyone's just like, wouldn't that cut off your own arm? Wouldn't it be hard to like? I'm like, dude, it just looks cool. But that and the Falcon, of course. But I loved it. I thought it was just enough. I like that they didn't spoil anything. It was really well done.
Well, in Duel of the Fates, over the week, we did talk about whether we wanted to see the original trilogy, the original cast, in the next trailer that's going to be coming out. So we'll be addressing that soon. And like you said, this episode is dedicated to the lightsaber, where it all began, where it's about to go, the evolution of it. We're going to be chatting that in depth coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about the gifts, though, that Frankie brought us. You are the best guest ever because you bring gifts. Though Mike Black brought you gifts, too. Let's not forget that.
I know. I got another one of these, and now I've got a Yoda one, and now I've got a Darth Vader one.
You got it all. Frankie shows up and says, hey, you guys got those variant covers? You into that at all? And we're like, well, we what you got?
Last week.
And he showed up with these very exclusive variants. So we'll put up a picture after the show. Thank you. So you're
my pleasure.
You're a scholar and a gentleman.
I seldom wrong and right again. Those are also known as my tickets to return to the show.
Yes.
I bride my way back, basically. So.
Seriously, you can put on a blonde wig and do it from now on. You can have my spot, I swear.
I could not nearly match your energy like that. Absolutely could not.
We have vowed not to spill water this time. The last time Frankie was on, we had the water incident, which, of course, lives in our annals. Well, let's dive right into it, Frankie, because you're back. We don't need to ask you the top 5 most important Star Wars questions. We know you're legit. We're here to talk about lightsabers today. We're here to talk about, we have a very fun Frankie-inspired Duel of the Fates that we're going to get to as well. I brought my lightsaber glasses again. We got a lot to talk about, but first, more importantly, we've got Queen Amidala approaching the dais to address her people and deliver news in the segment we call Renewed Hope.
Thank you, Master Kenobi. Oh, story number 1, it's about comic books. Ooh, oh, that's very Mordawan of me. Amidala, I've forgotten my name. You silly girl. Darth Vader issue number 1 has 300 300,000 pre-orders, and we can see the variant covers for the first time. Alrighty, comicbook.com has showed up the variant covers for Darth Vader #1. I'm not surprised that 300,000 have been pre-issued.
Yeah.
I think that'll get higher and higher. But check out the covers. Look at it. This one's my favorite. This one looks like Vader is controlling like a puppet master the Death Star and the TIE fighters there. Cool. There's a bunch of other ones. You can see them all on comicbook.com if you want to have a look at them. One. Yeah, that's probably my favorite, but there's so many more there.
Wow, look at that one. I know the first issue takes place with Jabba, so we're going to have a Vader-Jabba confrontation. That cover there is amazing. Frankie, am I too old to have these made as murals to hang in my bedroom?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
They're
thank you.
gorgeous, aren't they? If you're wondering who has written these particular books, it's done by Kieran Gillen. The drawing is done by Salvador Larroca, and this is the first one in the ongoing comic book series. It's going to be taking place, like you said, after the events of A New Hope. This will tell Vader's side of the story following the Battle of Yavin. This one's going to be available on February 11, so write that one in. But check that out. Look at the Emperor in that one. He looks more and more like a moon.
And
the Emperor had bad acne as a teenager, and as an adult, it's taken its toll on him.
young Sheev Palpatine had some acne problems.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I'm looking forward to this one.
I actually now want to see the variant covers for Princess Leia. We're going to see that one as well. It kind of seems like all the comic books are different POVs. It's going to be point of view of Luke, and then Han, which we've just seen, and now it's the other side, so it's like flip it.
Yeah, absolutely. And to see get Vader's quote side of the story following his colossal failure in defending the first Death Star, that's got to be an interesting story to hear.
I hope they keep him evil Vader and don't try to turn him babyface. A lot of times they'll. From the bad guy side, you kind of agree with the bad guy. I don't want that. I want Vader to still remain the villain, and Star
Well, he's
Wars
just like Tarkin's gone.
Yeah.
Everyone on it got blown up. So that's a devastating loss.
Yeah.
And then Alderaan's obviously gone too. So everyone's just like, that's just,
Where did he go after? Did he go to Coruscant, do you think, after...
That's what was he
flying around?
We were talking before. Robot Chicken captured the moment where he calls the Emperor. You got to think there's some stuff there that I would like to see. Where he kind of returns with his tail between his legs. There was it's non-canon now, I believe, but there was tales I think in the novelizations. Totally correct me if I'm wrong out there, but that Vader's hand being chopped off was punishment for the loss of the first Death Star. We know now because of Sith, maybe that didn't happen, or Revenge of the Sith, but
because it was a jelly bean by the end of it.
Yeah.
So no arms, no legs.
Yeah.
That's actually a thing. I wish I didn't know that, but that's what happens when you have no limbs. Have we seen all the covers? Have they all gone through, JT? Yeah,
Yes.
You're doing your job so well. Points for you, Willow. That's it. You literally look like a Tusken Raider back there. That is so cool. Alrighty, Amidala's got story number 2.
Yeah.
The Star Wars movie spin-off that we've all been talking about is rumoured to be filmed in Mexico, and 4 actresses have been eyed off for the role. Alrighty, so we know the next movie is happening now that Force Awakens is definitely post-production. They're moving on to the next thing, as you can see with the comic books and the movies, churning it out.
Yeah.
So this one, apparently it's been leaked that there's a lot of work on location in Mexico. At the moment, I think they're doing some reshoots in Pinewoods. Now what they're saying, it is the Bounty Hunter spin-off. So this is the one that we're going to be talking about. Reading through my notes, it's got a spaghetti western feel about it. Yes, the code name for this one is Project Los Alamos.
Los Alamos? Yeah.
What does that mean?
I'm not sure. I think it's a
phrase?
reference to the
Alamos.
They are doing a lot of, like I said, it's has the look of a spaghetti western, old style thing, and then there's some references to Manhattan Project as well, and the Death Star kind of serving for that. So that's what we're looking at. This is the plans
on the Death Star that they're trying to retrieve.
Since it's being filmed in Mexico, are we going to get an appearance from Han Cholo?
Oh my God!
Hey, all right.
That's awesome.
Do we have the rim shot, the drum? Sorry.
that was incredible.
That was bad.
No, that was accepted here, sir.
Boba Fett though will be getting. He'll be a part of this movie for sure.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that there are women that have been going up for this particular role. You can see right now, here are the lovely ladies. We have Rooney Mara, who you'll know from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Tatiana Maslany, who is from Orphan Black. She's on the right-hand side there. Felicity Jones, she's in the middle. She's just been cast alongside, she's...
Theory of Everything,
she's
coming
in everything at the moment, all the Academy Awards and the awards season, so she's getting a name out of herself there. Not pictured is Rooney Mara's sister, Kate Mara. You might know from House of Cards. She's also gone for the role. How annoying would that be if you and your sister were head-to-head in so many roles?
Yeah, though there is talk, though, that it's 2 separate roles. For those, the Kate Mara is more of a wish list thing. Rooney Mara probably actually read for it.
Gotcha.
So there's talk that could be 2 separate characters at least. Maybe they're bounty hunter sisters. I know Joseph Johnny Hartwell, Alberto Heisenberg just said that on there on the chat board. Are you excited about these actresses, Frankie, in this project?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited that they're focusing on, female and minority actors and actresses in the new movies, because they've had criticism in the past about there only being one chick in the galaxy and stuff like that. So I just like that going forward, the next generation, that they're really bringing that to the forefront. So and this is cool. And if it's a bounty hunter movie, indeed, I'm really psyched, because that's the lineup of the bounty hunters and empires is one of everybody's favorite scenes.
Absolutely.
You want to know who these guys are and more about them.
One of these actresses could be the one that hands the plans over to Princess Leia and the Blockade Runner. Who knows?
And last time we saw a spaghetti western space, like the space cowboy thing, was Firefly, and I think that we are so ready for something like that again. Oh, count me in.
I'm finding it funny. I wanted to ask your guys' opinions real quick here. When it comes to Episode 7, The Force Awakens, I almost want to know nothing. I want to go in blind. The spin-off, standalones, whatever, I'm finding myself clicking the stories a little bit more just to find out. I'm so curious.
What are you doing?
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like it would affect something globally,
No, because it's not about everything Star Wars.
Yes.
It's about a specific bounty hunter, Obi-Wan, Han, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So you really want to dwell into where the Star Wars,
I want to go in.
Sure.
I want those lights to come up and that be me learning it for the first time. So.
And that was your answer in Duel of the Fates, which we will talk more about. I think those 3 women are very, very strong actresses. So it's a bit of a win-win situation there. Yay. Story number 3. In Australia, a country apparently that's really quite cool, they did a sand sculpture, and here are some of the ones from Star Wars. So there's a place called Frankston in Melbourne, Australia, and you didn't hear it, but all the Aussies watching this went, yoo-hoo! And Happy Australia Day. It's Australia Day. So this is why I thought I would include this story. Happy Australia Day, Maud. Thanks, guys. Man. So, really, really cool sand sculptures that were done for the Sand Sculpting Awards. I'm a big fan of the Rebels one. But yeah, how cool is that? And you know what? They should have done like a Tatooine thing, because it would have been so realistic.
Sure.
Made of sand. Hello. It gets everywhere.
I hate sand.
So there is
Those are impressive. I grew up on the beach, basically Pismo Beach, California, and I do not know how to make sandcastles even now. The work that went into that, the detail. I mean, look at the Maul's horns, everything's there. Wow.
Just the talent, and I fall down for a living, and it makes me sad.
Do you look at that and just want to destroy it?
No, I don't. I look at that and wish I could do it.
Just one tear kind of slowly drip past you.
A little bit. Only at night before I go to sleep.
And story number 4. Disney and George Lucas have unveiled that his idea for Star Wars Force Awakens wasn't used. This is the first Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens, that George Lucas hasn't written or had a huge part in writing. What do you guys think about having a Lucas-less film?
I'll tell you what, I can't wait to find out after the movie's out what his idea was.
Yeah.
Because he had one and they dismissed it.
So after the movie is out and when it's, I'm sure, wildly successful, I would love to hear what his original idea was.
That's a good point. What I find interesting, I think the making of Star Wars Episode 7 is going to make one hell of a book / documentary.
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
The amount of controversy that's already happened with Michael Arndt being pulled and all that, and then was it mutual agreement to leave and all that kind of stuff. Jet Lucas came out a while ago and said, hey, by the way, guys, my dad's still consulting with JJ. He wrote the story years ago.
Yeah.
and now George is like, actually, they didn't take my stuff.
Well, Disney has used George Lucas's guidelines.
Yeah.
Whether that's say, don't mess with the Jawas or whatever that is.
You should never mess with the Jawas.
Can't be trusted.
And Lucas is constantly talking with JJ, as you said. There's a great photo of those two talking together. Oh, to be a fly on the wall with that. Lucas himself, this is a direct quote. I haven't seen anything. I mean, I saw the trailer. It looks great. It looks interesting. But as I said before, one thing I regret about Star Wars is that I never got to see it, I never got to be blown away by the big ship coming over the thing or anything. But this time I'm going to be, because I have no idea what they're doing.
I get that point of view. The guy's, 70 now? He's crossed that barrier. He created this wonderful universe that we've all taken. Because of George, we be able to get to come in here an hour each week and talk about Star Wars. It's his universe. To sit back for the first time as a fan, that's got to be fun.
They should sell tickets or have some type of contest where you get to attend the premiere of Star Wars, sit next to George. Imagine that, just seeing his reactions and listening to what he thought. Because this is, like you said, it's the first Star Wars he's actually seen.
Actually, that would be a great bonus when they bring it out on the DVD, have a George Lucas commentary.
Have George just go, I don't really like this.
Right.
I want to make some racing pictures.
Decided to do that. That's not Wizard.
But hey, he put his whole life into it, and he never got to experience it that way.
Yeah.
To experience things as a fan. We can talk about you and your wrestling career. You got to wrestling because you were a fan, but at some point it becomes your job.
Yeah.
And to be able to sit back at some point and just enjoy it again, I'm sure that's fun.
It's hard. It's hard not to be jaded. Sometimes that's why, not to go off topic, but at a wrestling show, if I'm done early in the night, I'll actually go out and try to sit amongst the fans, especially if I'm in a particularly salty mood regarding the business, and just get, wow, this is what it's like to be, just to watch from that perspective. So that's kind of, on a much smaller scale, that's what George is going to do with this one. So that's
gets to enjoy it. Yeah. I like it.
That's the news, by the way, boys.
That's the news. So
I have totally butchered that, and I watched the movies not so long ago. It's like I need to just listen to her speeches before I come in, so I can do better. Because if she heard that, if Natalie Portman heard that, she'd be like,
"Your version,
you bitch."
you're not Queen Amidala, you're Queen Amidala. So it's your take.
Okay, all right.
You're loud.
All right, cool. Phew. But if you got more news pieces, and a couple of those stories are up on the Facebook page. Search Jedi Alliance on Facebook. Scroll down, check out the pictures. I did ask you guys what you thought of the casting rumors, and keep the discussion going there.
Yeah, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Jedi Alliance SK, and we got the chat board going up. You guys are we're monitoring, we're chatting. We'll probably take questions at some point either today if we got time, because we have a lot to get to, a lot of fun things to talk about here.
Frankie, you just got called the Big Sexy.
Oh yeah.
Yahoo!
Which
By a guy.
Thanks, fellas. Yeah. All right.
It's a good day.
This is my game.
This has turned into a Kaz and Daniels tag team conversation.
Focus. We're talking about Star Wars.
Focus.
Hold on.
Jeez.
Strong with this one.
There we go.
Speaking of the Force, it's time for Force Dawn.
It's time for Force Dawn. We've been waiting to do this one. There's so many other Star Wars shows out there, and we thank you for spending your time with us. So we're going to have our discussion that we wanted to have about lightsabers.
Now, this is something that I've been wanting to do for a few weeks now, especially since we saw the Force Awakens trailer and we had the first glimpse of the saber sword. And now with Rebels, we're seeing already 2, 3 new different types of sabers and weapons. So I kind of wanted to start from the very beginning. We'll talk about the origin of the lightsaber, the components that make one up, and then the evolution. And I want you guys commenting as well, who do you think has the best lightsaber? So let's talk about the origin. I think the first time we ever heard about it was Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope, and he described it as, this was the formal weapon of a Jedi Knight, not as clumsy or random as a blaster. More skill than a simple sight was required for its use. An elegant weapon, it was a symbol as well. Anyone can use a blaster or a fusion cutter, but to use a lightsaber well was a mark of someone a cut above the ordinary.
That's what you did there.
Hey there, pal.
Got the lightsaber glasses on. Yeah, and man, the lightsabers, it is the symbol of Star Wars, I think.
Yeah, it is. This is the first time we'd ever seen anything like that.
Yeah.
My favorite meme that everyone keeps posting on our page, and keep doing it because it's great. The most, what is it? Like the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy, points it straight to his face.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. for me, lightsabers as a kid, I love medieval stuff and I love kind of medieval history and everything. So it really ties into that childhood kind of, and you can make all the phallic jokes you want, Maude, but it ties to having that thing in your hand that you want to wield around. And the lightsaber, this is my lightsaber. Oh. Almost hit that water. Yeah. You can turn it on.
Yeah.
Now, Kim, you'll remember the first ones that came out when we were kids.
Yeah.
Did not retract.
Correct.
You remember?
Yes.
I broke one over my friend Joe's back as a kid. Yeah.
Which one did you have?
I had the green one, of course. I was a Luke guy. Yeah. And I broke it over his back.
That'll serve him.
Yeah.
He's in a wheelchair now.
This one I bought 94, 95, and it's the same batteries in it.
Get out!
Yeah, I've never taken them out. This has moved to me with LA with me. This has traveled. Yeah, it's a good kyber crystal.
So let's talk about the components now that we've got one there, and you can see a bunch on the screen, different colors, different styles, different hilts, different handles. So the weapon consisted of a blade of pure plasma that was emitted from the hilt and suspended in a force containment field. The field contained immense heat of the plasma, protecting the wielder and allowing the blade to keep its shape. The hilt was almost self-fabricated by the wielder to match his or her specific needs, preference, and style. So as you can see there's completely different takes on it. Some are a bit shorter. I noticed that one of them kind of looks like the screwdriver in Doctor Who.
This looks like the menu at the Pleasure Chest over on Santa Monica in Hollywood. There's so much research out there on the lightsabers, and we all three were digging through some stuff, and obviously we go to the normal sources like everyone. I pulled down the Star Wars Encyclopedia. Surprisingly short entry on lightsabers. I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, because I feel like it's expanding so much more now. Like, we know that Luke built his own, which was the first green one. Like everyone, it's kind of like a righteous path of the Jedi is to build your lightsaber.
Yeah.
So in the recent, episode of Rebels, we saw Ezra undertake a personal kind of test, and he was awarded with a kyber crystal, a blue one, and that's kind of like the path of the Jedi. And then it's up to him to build his saber. And for me, it kind of feels like everyone who's building their lightsaber automatically becomes MacGyver. And it's like, oh, I'll take this power coil and that random thing there, and boom, boom, bada bing, bada boom, I've got my own lightsaber. So. And
you're not too happy with that? You're not too happy with Ezra's lightsaber.
No, I'm not. And I think this is going more into like the evolution of the lightsaber.
Yeah, a saber at all, really.
Yeah, we can talk about that. One thing I noted in the history of the lightsabers, which, by the way, I'm sure Lucas, when he sat down and created laser swords back in the 70s, didn't think this all out, which is one of the things I love about the Star Wars universe, is that we as fans and authors and artists can kind of expand onto this, and I know a lot of it isn't canon anymore. We have to use that word these days.
I know, like the dark saber.
The dark saber.
That one got a big mention on Facebook.
But
the black.
But it's canon because it was in Clone Wars.
Oh yes.
Pre Vizsla it was from Death Watch. That
There's a picture coming up of the dark saber.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones in Force Unleashed. When you get that one.
Yeah.
And this picture that's up now, JT, you're doing great with the pictures, by the way. We threw so many at you. This one I love because it's a green one. It's this kind of old school feel. But
whose is that?
I'm not sure. It's probably just some random guy or someone out there knows it's Darth Bob. Darth Bob. But it's green. He's probably a Jedi. But Frankie, does this one look at his saber? Does that remind you of what we're seeing in Episode 7?
A little bit, yeah. But I just find it interesting that it's a green saber, but it's a very Sith-looking guy wielding it.
He's got some Sith behind him.
Yeah.
But look at the fact that it's not a clean sort of blade. Yeah. It's rippling.
And that's what a lot of people are talking about with Kylo Ren's lightsaber in Episode 7, is that it kind of ties to the past and the old sabers.
Is that what, do you reckon they're the original sabers? Like that's where they first were getting made, and then it was refined?
If you look at that, there's the Dawn of the Jedi. There's a whole comic series. Dark Horse did the stuff. The lightsabers have gone through some very changes. It used to, the original one, if you look at some of the research, they didn't have individual power cells.
Battery packs.
They had battery packs.
Yeah, that's right.
Could you imagine being in a fight?
Wacky, yeah.
Hold that thought. Hold on one second. Right. I'm back. Right. Yeah, no, you're dead. That's what you were. So of the different colors of the lightsabers, obviously you can identify red saber equals Sith, red bad, blue good.
Right. Green,
Yeah, green. Ooh. In Knights of the Old Republic, the colors of the lightsaber actually showcase what kind of Jedi you were.
Yeah.
So those that worked within the council, they had more of a, starts with I, someone will help me out on the chat.
Sure.
They had a yellow saber. And the blue one was sort of the more like do-gooder, like that did the field adventures, and then the green one kind of had a little bit more of like a admin-y role. Someone help me out with this one, but Knights of the Old Republic, there's 3, and it's yellow, blue, and green, and you get to choose kind of which saber you want to follow that path of
Yellow.
who you're going to be. Yeah, yellow.
I've heard there was yellow sabers. Well,
Yeah.
the toy was a yellow saber. Remember the first ever Luke action figure?
Yes.
Had a yellow saber for some reason.
It came out of
it came out of his arm, basically, yeah. But it was yellow. It was just... Kenner was probably just paint it yellow.
Can you recall too, Frankie, when Jedi comes out and you see Luke for the first time with a green one?
Yes.
I loved it.
Did that rock your world?
I loved it. I thought it was the coolest. Like I said last time, I'm a huge Luke guy, so that's super cool.
Yeah.
Not only that, but it was like everything about him was different. He spoke different. His demeanor was different. He had the dark robe on, and then blasted that one out. You're like, who is this guy?
Confident, yeah.
Stephen K just posted Sentinel, Guardian, Consular.
Thank you. Consular is the yellow one.
Yeah.
Guardian, I think, is the
Blue, you got Sentinel yellow.
Guardian.
No, I don't know. Someone
I
else
remember
is they're
Consular was
writing
yellow.
them.
Yeah. And I love the fact that Samuel L. Jackson just decided that he wanted a purple one. And so all of a sudden, there's purple.
So now it's canon.
Yeah, that's it.
How about I give myself a purple one? Yes, sir.
Yeah, totally. Whatever
Wasn't
you
your
want.
theory last time I was here? Wasn't your theory that like it was red and blue makes purple? So maybe it was
one of the smartest things I've ever said. Blew my mind. Here we go. So here is your homework, everyone. This is how you build a lightsaber, and this is why I think this is something I just pulled together with some spare supplies around the spaceship. Doesn't really fit for me because that is an intricate device.
There's some soldering that needs to happen.
Yeah, what if you're not a good like engineer as a Jedi? What if that's not your strong suit? Like
I know. And every time you pull it, it's like blah 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 blah.
Right.
Yeah. It looks like you actually need to forge it. Like, you need the what's that flame thing and the.
You actually need the elves to forge the sort of Narsil there. And the key thing, of course, is the crystals, which are found, the Kyber crystals, and there's different. Then there's the focusing crystal. And doing my research, there was 2 separate Kyber crystals: Kyber, which was more the main crystal, and the focusing crystal, Kaiburr. I kept thinking it was some sort of air, but I found it on 2 different sources. These crystals can be found in the caves on Ilum, Dantooine, even, which factors.
Dantooine is, if you're playing Knights of the Old Republic, that's where you find crystals in abundance, and you get to choose what color you want, and there's so many different colors.
Looking at this diagram now, see the lever, the blade length adjust. Have we ever seen that used? Has anyone ever been like, this guy's not? Let me. Yoda's was a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
They did in Rebels. So when Ezra was starting to do lightsaber training for the first time, Kanan was like, "Whoa, we'll have to make it a bit shorter because you're short."
Wow, you're right. That's it. Wow, that shows how much I pay attention to Rebels sometimes when it's on. I've got one eye on it. Yeah, you're right. That's the first time I think I can recall seeing that, not counting comic books or novels.
But I know in Knights of the Old Republic, there are 2 different, like you either have a lightsaber or a short saber. But it's like, well, that kind of makes the whole function a little bit redundant.
Yeah, and there's the guard Shoto, they call him, I believe, the little hills. So Yoda has kind of a shorter lightsaber. It's to keep within the size,
Yeah, I've got long arms, so I would want a long one as well. Yeah,
and I have a short one.
So your Schwartz is as big as mine. That brings a whole new meaning to that. Yeah.
Look at all the hilts here, though. They are like, for obviously the same thing. Like from a distance, they would look exactly the same, but from up close, like they are completely different ones.
Yeah.
Looking at these, can you identify any?
Yes.
Apart from Maul.
Frankie.
Maul, and then the curved one is Dooku's.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was pretty distinct, and then the Qui-Gon's was. Is that Qui-Gon's on the right-hand side, third one up?
Possibly. His looked like, feel like the Doctor's screwdriver.
His was, somewhat plain.
Yeah.
You got Yoda's up top there, too.
Oh, the smaller
that little
one.
baby one.
And the Palpatine's is actually the one right above Maul's that slides out of his arm real quick. It's tinier.
Yeah.
And it's got those like almost ivory-looking hand grips on. I kind of like just the simple one of like Jedi Luke.
Jedi Luke's obviously the left.
I mean, that's
bottom.
clearly the one I own, but I like that one. Frankie, gut reaction, which one would you grab?
Jedi Luke's will always be my favorite, just being a Luke fan. The coolest, can't debate, is Darth Maul's.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You cannot. Just the dual blades, just awesome, man.
And the great story of Maul going off and for days, like melting his own crystals and making them 4 crystals go in there. The Sith historically used synthetic crystals, not the ones found in the caves. Luke allegedly used a synthetic crystal because he didn't have the resources. He was the last dude around.
Yeah.
He didn't really know where to go. He found it in Obi-Wan's little hovel, how to make one, blueprints. And there was a scene that famously cut from Jedi of him starting Jedi in the cave or possibly Obi-Wan's hut making his lightsaber.
Stop it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry.
Yeah.
During the reign of the Empire, was this lightsaber not banned? Did they not ban lightsabers?
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere that.
Well, it showed that you were a Jedi and they were in hiding. Like, you know, in A New Dawn, Kanan was one of the last few Jedis, and he had it on him, but he hid it.
Right.
Like, it was concealed.
I did see that Vader was like the last one allowed. So could you imagine Vader having to go file paperwork to get his lightsaber permit?
Yeah.
We need your ID, sir.
Concealed carry permit.
There's the Maul figure.
So with Maul's lightsaber, we didn't remember how, wasn't it kind of cut into 2 and they were still both working?
Yeah.
So that means the makeup internally of it meant that it had to be completely mirrored back to front. So when it was seamlessly sliced in the middle, nothing was affected.
Which is Obi-Wan with some accuracy.
Yeah, that's insane. Well done.
Now that's your favorite lightsaber, Frankie, right?
By far.
That one.
Well, I just remember the first watching the first trailer and that scene where he ignites one and ignites the other, and you just lose your mind. Like, it's got 2 blades. Like, at least
I was more excited about Maul's than I was with Kylo Ren's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that one was.
It's super cool.
Well, I think this was the very first time, apart from a different color, that we had a different style.
Right.
Yeah, and let's be honest, in the first movie, like the lightsabers, I'm talking the first movie, not special editions, they look real weird. They're just like kind of white, blurry.
Yes.
You know, and now they look super cool, obviously, because of technology and all that.
But the sound effects that you heard for the very first time, like as soon as that lightsaber lit up,
And
like we'd never heard anything like that.
Ben Bird, of course, is the sound designer of all this stuff. And
No, he lost me a point in trivia once.
yeah, that's right. And to go watch, there's a featurette, you can find it on YouTube, that talks about the history of lightsabers. Interesting notes, Bert got the sound from, the hum was a projector sound. And the crackling was he had a live microphone in his house and he walked past a TV and it made that sound. So there's actually footage of him back in like late 70s with his long microphone in front of capturing the sound, and he's actually making the sound to the lightsaber. It's fascinating.
So
Ben Burt has so much to do with the success of Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Those iconic sounds.
So let's talk about the evolution of the lightsaber. As we said, the first 3, the original trilogies, it was just red, blue, green, pretty much, as you can see here. And then we saw in Phantom Menace, there was the Maul's blade, the double. Now, though, I feel like, it took us 20 years just to see 2 types.
Yeah.
And now in all of like 2 or 3 weeks or months, we've seen so many different types.
So Frankie just had the same reaction I do. That's the classic Luke picture. That is my childhood right there. Is looking at that and being inspired. I had a book, a magazine of it was the behind the scenes of Return of the Jedi, and that was the inside cover, and it underneath it said, "The greatest saga ever told."
And that's the name that's the byline about.
I had a coloring book and they had that picture in it, and my friend started to color that blue, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Like a big brouhaha ensued, and I was like, "What?" I thought it was. No, it's not blue. It's green.
He's on the sail barge.
Still pissed.
Sorry to cut you off, bud, but we both had that same reaction to the picture.
Look at
1983.
JT, there's a photo in there which is kind of like a blueprint of Ezra's lightsaber. If we can kind of get to that one. So the fact that, in the last there you go. Look, going through all of these. This is 25 years of lightsabers. We saw the dark one there. So this is Ezra's lightsaber. This is kind of like what we're seeing with Rebels. So not only has the Inquisitor shown his is like a souped up version of Maul's. So it's the double lightsaber, and then there's some sort of like shield over the hilt, and then he taps a button and boom, there's a spinning rotation move.
Yeah.
I think I've commented on Facebook. I think that's very lazy.
I like this theory. Dive into it, and Frankie, I want to see if you agree with her or not about the Inquisitor. This is great. I think it's great. And Grievous.
We flipped past Grievous really quickly. Grievous having 4 arms with lightsabers, awesome. Like, there you go. That's cool. So he's got 4. Then he makes his arms spin. It's like, okay, well that's just like ridiculous.
Buzzsaws, like 4 buzzsaws. Yeah,
exactly. But at the end of the day, Grievous is mostly like, you know,
he's not Sith or Jedi. He's just trained in the arts, like you said. But
so he needs something that's a little bit cheap. But when the Inquisitor puts his on, the Inquisitor is one of the most. He's a hyper villain, and the best kind of villains are those that can predict you completely. They know everything that you're about to do. So every time you see the Inquisitor in a fight, he's like, oh, Kanan, I know who your master was. I know exactly how you fight, and I will always be better than you. That is so warped. And that's, I think, the intimidating part. So when he puts on this zing automatic spin, it just feels lazy. This is probably one of the guys who's the best fighter with the lightsaber around. That's a cheat sheet, as far as I'm concerned.
He could be just showing off, maybe, since he is so confident and he knows that, you know.
I hope that kills him. I hope that's the thing that kills him.
It could be. His overconfidence. It's happened before.
And then we've got Ezra's blaster gun saber, which I feel is the most sacrilegious thing that they could have done. We've just spoken about how this is the Jedi's civilized weapon, and that a blaster is for someone that it will never be a Jedi. They've combined the two.
You were right, and you were talking about this at lunch, because I was kind of I'm wishy-washy on the series Rebels, as I've mentioned before, but I was like, I actually kind of liked Ezra's little gun. Your theory on why that shouldn't be convinced me to not like it now. You convinced me over lunch.
And it's not even like a traditional blaster, which can be set to stun or to kill. It's like a glob. It's like that thing that it made, which is cool. I liked that. That's the whole street rat kind of like, ooh, it'll tickle you maybe.
Right.
But now that he's kind of put a gun and a lightsaber together, because he brings it out and Kanan's like, what are you doing? You never have your lightsaber out in these sorts of battles. And he's like, whoosh, it's both. And I'm like, that's so cheap and not cool.
I think it's an instance of them trying to get too cute and too creative. Your point is, I can't argue with that. They say a blaster's for a clumsy buffoon, you know, and a lightsaber's for a more civilized age.
An elegant weapon. Right. And everyone's calling it the staple gun saber.
Yeah.
The look, again, when I first thought, I was like, oh, that's cool, it fires a gun. But I think you're right. That's not the Jedi way. You know, even when Obi-Wan killed Grievous with that blaster, he did it for survival, and I thought that was.
And he kind of threw it away.
And I thought that was one of the good moments in the prequels that really worked. It really consistent with Obi-Wan's character and the Jedi's.
And at the same, we just saw how hard it was to build a lightsaber. I'm sure building a blaster is just as difficult because it's a blaster and not even a crystal thing. So this is like the most impossible weapon, and he's just built it with spare parts lying around on the ghost.
I'll tell you, Mr. Joey Beans 81. Joey Beans, one of our big Schmoes No fans, just put on the thing. You can get Ezra's lightsaber at Lowe's in the hardware section if you want it there. Thanks, Joey.
So let's go back to the saber sword then, because this is what we saw in The Force Unleashed. And this was supposed to have that same kind of effect where it's like, wow, that's really happening.
Yeah.
The huge debate spawning from this, saying that the cross guard is actually more of a hazard than it is an asset.
I don't agree with that. Do you think so?
No, I think, what if it's what if those particular blades are just to perhaps fend off laser blasts, or what? Maybe those only function as shields.
Yeah.
Maybe those don't actually cut. I don't know yet.
When you think about it, if it was
Yeah.
up and someone was slicing down with the lightsaber, like it would stop them, but it won't stop that. It won't stop a jab movement. It stops mainly Lissica.
Yeah. JT, you got a question on that?
Yeah, don't they always twirl these things around their wrists and stuff? Like
Some
in
of them.
movies?
Some of them
He's
do,
got to take his own hand out.
Well,
Like that.
it depends
Do
on the
that.
form. There's so many lightsaber battle forms. And JT's in the booth fighting. You can't see Frankie. He's actually having a lightsaber fight with himself.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
that's like this. Ow, ow,
But
ow,
that's
ow, handless.
that only if he chooses that form. There's so many lightsaber forms. He could choose form 1, form 2, form 3. I haven't studied all those forms like I'm sure other people out there have. So maybe that's not his form. Maybe he doesn't know his form.
My initial thought was, wow, that's different. We've never seen anything like it. Why wasn't it like a saber sai? Why weren't they angled upwards like, Raphael's weapon, where it kind of, it's still a tri-blade, but it went up and he can still do the wishy-washy instead of that.
I'm still on the fence about it. It looks super cool, but I mean, it's one of those things that makes me want to watch the movie even more. You know,
But that's a great thing. That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a good selling point. It's an iconic moment. This photo has already been used in blogs and Twitter feeds and podcasts like this one. That is the most iconic shot of The Force Awakens so far, other than the ball droid. I love it. I think the story behind it might sway some people either way. How Kylo Ren, they're saying that's Kylo Ren, if that's how he got it, how he made it. Does it tie into the history? Does it have Revan and Malak and Bane's history tied into it? Who knows?
Like you said, it looks like it's a flame torch because it's not a clean saber blade. It's it looks like almost fire. But what I want to pose to the council and to you guys is, like I said, in the last 3 months, we have seen 3 different types of lightsabers, which is more than we've seen in the last 20 years. What do you think about how fast we are changing up the staple of the Jedi?
I see why they do, but
if it ain't broken, don't fix it, I say.
you almost took the words out of my mouth. You know, but our attention span is so short these days that, you know, a lot of people want, like, well, that's just a regular old lightsaber. You know, well, sometimes that's fine, but yeah, like, I don't know if it's a matter of them getting too cute, too clever, trying to. I don't know. I'm really on the fence. I don't know.
I do think about that too. That it's now become we expect every movie's going to have some cool new lightsaber now, or some cool little thing. We start with Darth Maul. I mean, technically start with Luke going green.
Yep.
But then Darth Maul, and
the purple lightsaber.
Then the purple, and then even Dooku's hilt being twisted and all that kind of stuff.
Which I have, by the way.
Yeah.
I have that one.
And then bring up that picture of Han, JT, and there's Asajj Ventress. You can bring up Asajj too after that.
She's got great. She's got the hilted.
That picture of Han. The trivia here, of course, as we know, is this: he's the only non-Force user Jedi guy to hold a saber, and he held it pretty well, Frank.
Yeah, he did okay to cut open the tauntaun. Yeah.
Really?
And
bring up Asajj real quick. The other picture. Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Whether or not she shows up in Episode 7, whether or not Lupita Nyong'o ever plays her, or she posts, Asajj Ventress is one of the more intriguing characters in the Star Wars universe.
And they are sexy lightsabers. Actually, my Dooku one looks a lot like that, but I know that it wasn't. I know it's Dooku's because it said it. This is Dooku's blade. So now I'm confused because it looks exactly like that. There you go. There's a photo of me holding it, by the way, being smug. There it is. Everyone, that is my apartment back home in Sydney. There's 2 Nintendo Wiis behind. And then you can see my lightsaber collection just to the left there. And they're my figurines.
Nice.
I had a figurine stand.
Nice.
Yeah.
You thought of Asajj?
Happy Australia Day, by the way.
Thank you. So there we go. That's our lightsaber to battle. We are continuing that discussion on our Facebook page. Just look through. There's a picky up there, and we'll keep talking.
Bring up that one real quick there, JT. Let the public see that one there. This, of course, is we hear talk of the Kyber crystal, and that, of course, not only fuels the lightsaber, it gives it its color, and it's now it possibly fueled the Death Star. It's factoring in Rebels. This is the cover of the book, The Shadow of the Mind's Eye, the unofficial continuation of A New Hope that Lucas was going to use as a backup plan should Empire not have happened. And Han and that's Luke and Leia, not knowing their brother and sister, some romantic
Look at the hands nearly touching, sexual tension.
Yeah, and that's Vader, and that is the first ever mention of a Kyber crystal.
And this is also the most awkward family photo you'll ever see.
Did you ever read that book, Frankie?
I did not.
I did not either.
You know what I did do, though? I read an article on somebody that had asked an engineer if you could actually build a lightsaber, like a real. And he said it's impossible. Basically, you could never get the blade to stop. If it was like a laser, you could never get the laser to stop at a certain point because it would just go on forever.
They would just go up into the sky.
Which leads me to a question. What comes out first in real life, a lightsaber or a hoverboard?
Hoverboard.
Yeah, that's more realistic.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. I'm hoping for that lightsaber. It'll change the face of crime forever. What?
I feel like if you can harness the 2 magnets, it's like harness that and then just line it on the surface. I don't
That'll do.
Technology exists. The government has it. They're just keeping it from us.
Ooh, conspiracy theory.
Aaron Bloom. I think I said Shadow of the Mind's Eye. Splinter of the Mind's Eye is absolutely correct.
Oh, nice.
All right, so let's move on. I don't want to move on. I wish we could talk about lightsabers for 2 hours. Forever. But we have a little bit of time left, and I want to get to our very important Duel of Fates. Last time it was on the show.
So good.
Last time on the show, Frankie mentioned the name of one of these bands, the Cantina band. He goes, well, you know what it really is? And he was I could tell the joy in his eyes. He's like, I love that. It's one of my favorite things about Star Wars. So this week, other shows have done it, but it's our time. Our Duel of Fates to have.
We have to recap our last week's really quickly,
do
though.
it. I always forget that. That's my fault.
I know, and this
I
is
get
my
so
job,
excited.
and I'll cut you off every time. So last week we said, yes or no, should we see the original cast in the next trailer? Now, Frankie, you know, there's going to be premiering before Age of Ultron in May.
Thank God. We need to get people to come to see that.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah,
it needs
Age
all
of
the
Ultron needs the help going over, yeah.
So when we said yes or no, it's as simple as that. No, it wasn't. It was yes-ish, no-ish, or unsure, maybe both. And the results are in unsure, maybe both. 19 votes, no, 33 votes. Yes, 61. So it doubled, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah. What do you think, though? Really quickly, Frankie, you want to see them? Or should they?
Basically, I think it was you that said it last week. I think no for the most part. I think all new characters. And then maybe the last 3 seconds, it's a snarky line by Han, or it's a growl by Chewbacca, or it's a bearded Luke.
Yeah.
Maybe just like a slight, that's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
you have just in that comment pretty much emulated every single comment that we had.
Yeah.
And we had like 60 plus comments about it. And they're all saying, just give us a snippet and just get it be a shadow or a silhouette or a snarky line from Han.
You figure that'll be what, May?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 7 months.
7 months away. I can wait. If you get 7 months, give me a little Han line, a Luke and a beard shot, then that's it. I'm done until December.
Yeah, someone wants a Luke voiceover as well. But my favorite comment goes to Mark Gregory, who said, I like pumpkin pie, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. That's a deep metaphor.
That is true. That is true.
Cool.
All right, so I had the big send up. So here's what it is: our Battle of the Bands time. It is time to say the Duel of Fates today is what is the better band, Figrin Dan and the Modal Nodes, or Cy Snoodles and the Max Rebo Band? We got the two preeminent bands in the Star Wars universe. Both factor on Tatooine. Both have great songs. Lapty Neck is Cy Snoodles singing out Lapty Neck, which translates in Hadith to fancy man.
Oh, okay.
She's singing about a fancy man. The band is Max Rebo's. He kind of inherited. Frankie will tell the story on that one. It's a great story. And then, of course, on the other side, you got Figrin Dan. Figrin Dan and the Modal Nodes, everyone just says, oh, the Cantina band?
Yes.
No, they had a name. They all had a part to play. All right, Frankie, I want you to start. This is a big one.
Sure, it is a big one.
There they are.
Give a little backstory.
Can we just address the fact that they just look like giant scrotum? Good.
You just did.
Good. Moving on.
Figrin Dan and the Modal Nodes were apparently like a huge hit amongst the galaxy. And later on, that's a great shot. Later on, we're kind of reduced to playing seedy places, but, fell into a good little spot there at Tatooine. Now, Cy Snoodles band, Max Rebo band, originally was called Ever Orbis and his Galactic Jizz Whalers.
And then I think that everyone realized that Jizz Whalers was actually quite offensive.
Jizz Whalers sounds disgusting. It's a type of music that
it's someone
band
that cries
plays.
after they...
Now, what really ties this in, we talked about this earlier, is that at some point between Empire and Jedi, Ever Orbis and his Galactic Jizz Whalers go to the Cantina, hold it together, go to the Cantina to try to book a gig.
Yeah.
And Figrin Dan, being the leader of his band, who plays the flute horn, by the way, kills Ever Orbis. Basically says, you're not going to play in my cantina. I'm the house band here. Get to step in. And basically defends his turf.
And he shot first.
He killed it. It was a scuffle, and he killed him.
Wow.
So they kept their spot at the
cantina.
Absolutely, at the cantina. And then Max Rebo obviously
have to work for Jabba.
Got hired, working for Jabba.
And the story is Max Rebo took a contract worth of a lifetime of free food.
How ridiculous is that?
And the rest of the band was upset. That's Droopy McCool, played in the movies by Deep Roy, who was most known as the Oompa Loompas in the Tim Burton re-release of Charlie and Chocolate Factory. Droopy McCool, Cy Snoodles, they were never happy with Max because Droopy only eats once a month, and Cy Snoodles, well, look at her figure. She doesn't need all the food. So there was some tension behind the scenes. What's your choice?
Better band, Figure and Dan and the Modell Notes.
You going with that?
Absolutely. I mean, like, I guess if you want to, it's a Stones-Beatles comparison.
Yeah.
You know, Stones are probably the better showmen, you know, mixed flying around on stage. Beatles are the better musicians and have the more classic songs.
Nailed it.
I don't think you're going to see Figure and Dan, you know, doing a David Lee Roth jumping split.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they got the chops. He can
Cy
play
would,
that flute horn.
Yeah.
You know, Cy would.
Yeah.
But they don't really have the content, the musical content that they have.
I got you. Jit, you can play that song as we talk about it here, too. All right, Marty?
Cy Snoodles really, when she was digitally edited, like I said, when Cy was on there, that's what everyone did. They sighed.
Yeah.
They were like, what is this?
Yeah, I agree.
Stop it. Yet, dun 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 remains an iconic sound, and it's such an instant association and makes you. There it is. It makes me. This was my ringtone for about 3 years, and I still am not sick of it.
Very underrated is the second song.
Oh.
Yep, Cantina
Yeah.
Song 2 if you have that CD set.
That's right. So I'm going to have to go the same.
You're going with Figure and Dan
I
and
think
the
they
Model
made
Notes.
the oboe cool again.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I am a Beatle fan in real life, and I totally get where you're coming. Stones, Beatles, parties versus musicianship, and Figure and Dan's got that down. But I'm telling you, if I am on Tatooine and I'm stuck there, and I'm stuck at this guy's house, I want to party with Cy Snoodles, the sexiest lead singer in the galaxy, and I'm going to sing along to Lapty Neck.
If you were going to pass out, though, you could land on Max Rebo and be so comfortable. He looks like a beanbag with
He's
a
a
chunk of
big elephant. His real name Cerulean Fantelli from the planet Orto, but took the stage name Max Rebo. But I am going with Max Rebo, and I'm going to have a party at Jabba's palace. I'll
Meanwhile,
probably end
we'll
up
be
dead.
at the cantina.
I'll be at the cantina enjoying some blue milk.
Yeah.
And
just telling everyone how much we don't like them. I'll be like, I don't like you. He doesn't like you either. And like, trust me, they'll look at you and be like, I'm sorry.
I was say Frankie's a great guy. He's a nice dude, but he kind of looks like he could fit in at that cantina. You got kind of a scruffy-looking nerf herder vibe there, man.
Yeah. I've been known to hang out with some nerf herders in my time, and
absolutely.
in some less than desirable places that make the cantina look like a Ritz Carlton, for God's sake.
So there you go. That is our week. What am I trying to say? That's our Duel of Fates for this week.
Yep, that will be up on our Facebook page as well. The 2 pictures will be there. You can cast your vote with that comment, because we'll be reading out those comments as well on the show next week, and the results.
I just want to say one thing before we go.
JT,
we broke some news the last episode that Mission Impossible 5 was supposed to come out right around Christmas.
Yeah.
And they pushed it to July of 2015.
They pushed it back 6 months.
No, they pushed it forward. So we're getting it 5 months earlier because it has to be Star Wars, right?
Has to be.
Yeah.
Oh, they're afraid of Star Wars. Tom
yeah.
Cruise is afraid of Luke Skywalker, as he should be.
Would pay to see
So
that.
that's a big move. I mean, to move 5 months earlier.
Absolutely.
They actually, didn't they record at the same studio, Pinewood Studios? Yeah, so there you go.
So check our Facebook page for the Duel of Fates. We'll post up some of the cool pictures we had on the lightsabers. So much. This is a fun episode. I wish we could have more time, but we got to roll today.
I would like to cast the vote to see who does have the best lightsaber. I still think that's fascinating.
Yeah, do that. We'll put that up. Weigh in on Duel of Fates. You got Frankie. Did you see the passion in his voice talking about Figure and Dan?
Yes.
He loves
I'm a
this
fan.
band.
I'm a fan, man.
Frankie, where can they find you?
At Frankie Kazarian on Twitter. It's my red hot Twitter machine.
It's going strong.
Yeah.
I'm at Maud Garrett, and guys, if you haven't subscribed to Geek Bomb on YouTube, now is the chance. I want to get to 5,000 soon, so just do youtube.com/geekbombshells.
That's right, me at Ken Knapsack and at Jedi Alliance SK. Don't forget to subscribe to all the Popcorn Talk Network shows on YouTube, youtube.com/Popcorn Talk. Profiles, Guilty Movie Pleasures, Box Office Breakdown, Meet the Movie Press, Marvel Movie News, DC Movie News, and the Schmoes No Main Show live every Thursday, 6 p.m. PST. So, until next time, this has been the Jedi Alliance on the Popcorn Talk Network. We talk movies.
And one day we'll find all the Bothans that died, and we'll give them a really good obituary. One day. Have you done that one yet?
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Christian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.